Welcome to HSDF the Podcast, a collection of policy discussions on government technology and Homeland Security brought to you by the Homeland Security and Defense Forum. In this second of a three-part series, Eric Hysen, DHS CIO and Chief Artificial Intelligence Officer, and Dimitri Kusnezov, Undersecretary for S&T at DHS, explore the role of the Chief Data Officers, CDOs, in shaping AI's future within the Department of Homeland Security, the critical importance of data quality, new AI's capabilities, with a special look at the Unified Immigration Portal and its groundbreaking approach to data sharing. Featuring Eric Hysen, Chief Information Officer and Chief Artificial Intelligence Officer, Department of Homeland Security, Honorable Dimitri Kusnezov, Undersecretary for Science and Technology, Department of Homeland Security, Luke McCormick, former CIO, Departments of Homeland Security and Justice. This discussion took place at the HSDF Technology Innovation and Government Symposium on February 22, 2024.
Let me follow on to that and talk about, you cited sort of this awesome capability to operationalize and catch the bad guys, et cetera. What are the lessons learned that we're experiencing over the last year as we start to use this capability beyond just, wow, how fantastic it is and what it's doing from an operational perspective? Maybe it's a, whoa, I didn't realize that type thing. I'd like both of you to answer that. Eric, why don't you start?
So I think I think a key lesson, particularly with generative AI, which is the new kid on the block, relatively new still, has been, I think, just a need to get started. It's easy to, particularly in government, to observe the problem and really build frameworks and policies and structures on
admire the problem.
And I think what you learn the most by getting people with hands on keyboard and getting some real interaction. So we issued a policy. We were still pretty early for federal agencies, but still slower than I would have liked, that permits our employees to use commercial generative AI tools as long as they take a training and they agree to not put in FOUO or other sensitive data and other restrictions. And we got that out towards the end of last year, and it's already really starting to shift how we think about and understand what this technology can do, because our employees at all levels are using it themselves. One of the reasons that Dimitri and I got charged with standing up this AI task force is the secretary was playing around with ChatGPT and was really impressed with what it could do. So even particularly for our non-technical colleagues, the more we can just get them exposed to technology in real time, the better we're going to be able to understand how to integrate it into our missions. There's a lot, understandably, we have a massive frontline workforce. It's easy for people to get worked up and think that AI is going to take their jobs or shift what we need them for. And that couldn't be further from the truth. What they see when they start having hands-on experiences with this tech is that this can be an incredibly powerful tool to make them more capable at executing their Homeland Security missions, taking time away that they're spending today doing paperwork and the routine tasks that no one wants to be spending their time on, and increasing the amount of time that they're able to spend really doing their job, keeping us safe. And so I think a big lesson learned for me is let's take opportunities to get our team's hands-on experience more quickly.
Dimitri?
Three things. One, the problems are harder. They're harder. Just think of fentanyl and precursors and pre-precursors and trying to follow supply chains and the complexity of tracking, and then the overlay with cryptocurrency and things that are air-gapped technology-wise and making connections. It is an incredibly complex job that is rapidly exceeding human capability to maneuver the richness, the fullness of the data that is available. And so, in terms of lessons learned and how I think about it, one, the job is getting harder across the board, anywhere you point. Multiple natural disasters happening in different parts of the country within, small windows of time. Pick your challenge. First responders, it's a it's a different world today than it was yesterday, and it's getting more complicated. The tools, though, are growing in complexity and importance, and it's taking more creativity to figure out how you can piece together these emergent tools that could be glued together with AI, whether it's autonomous systems or nano manufacturing or gene editing or pick your area. All of these things are having an impact, and it provides you ways to think of the world and how you respond to it in fundamentally different ways. The approach to doing it yesterday, again, doesn't apply to how we think about it today and where we need to go tomorrow. We have to innovate in different ways. So the opportunities are at our fingertips, but it's not business as usual. And engagement is far more important today and is not transactional. It is deeper, I think, and has to be broader. And the third thing, coming with all of that is risk. Risk that is emergent, not tended to, that we'll have to pay attention to. And you're all familiar with deep fakes and video and voice, and it'll get more complicated. That's already a thing. We think about swatting and those kinds of things, but there are things like generative AI for transnational repression, also a thing. How it's used to lure people into Panama through the Darien Gap. The disinformation, the misinformation that goes out there, because the business model of that is immense. People make a lot of money in drawing people into Central America. AI is an enabler there. I mean, the risks that come with AI itself are different than standard ways we thought about cybersecurity or attacks or inserting code. They're kind of traditional AI attacks, so that you think about data poisoning and kind of a taxonomy, but it is expanding in a way that is hard to box in. And I think what it means and what our responsibilities are going to take reflection. It doesn't fit into anything we're doing. It's part of the task force, and Eric and I struggle with this as we talk about it. There isn't a single answer. It isn't you go do it and it's solved. It is so complicated, and it'll hit you in surprising ways. I didn't know you could do that. And then the question is, whose job is it to attend to it? And I think that is also not answered. And so we're trying to frame this in and try and figure out, could you defeat facial recognition if you're on the no-fly list because you've been identified by our war crimes unit? Can you pixel manipulate something and get through? There are all kinds of things that, get you thinking, and you want to at least address that, but there's just this myriad set of challenges that is fascinating and require attention. And so, we need more people. Eric should hire more than 50. You should hire 500, as you said, Luke.
You didn't answer that question, by the way.
But, it is a place of great demand signal for this talent. And the more we can get, the broader thinking people we can get, embedded in the mission, better everyone is going to be in this room. Everyone will be happier with that. Not for us, it's basically for you.
And speaking of 500, there's 5,000 out here, so that's another leverage point that you definitely reached into early on in your conversation. I wanted to ask you a different question. The CDO community, we actually have some CDOs out there in the audience and some others that are in the community. Where does the CDO fit into the AI agenda? And then what do you need those CDOs to do, that community to do? Maybe the top 3 things to unlock some of this capability.
Sure. I think it's a great question, and the role that the CDO community across DHS plays is so critical. The number one thing is to stay focused on the basics, right? It's I think a well-known adage at this point that 80% of AI is getting good data, and 20% or less is the actual algorithms and AI machine learning that's on top of that. And so we really want the CDO community to stay focused on that core 80% of work. We started out a couple of years ago our data inventory program, really helping us understand what data we have and where it is. We are looking and working to accelerate data sharing efforts across the department. That's really successful efforts like the Unified Immigration Portal across our immigration agencies. We're looking now at what similar efforts look like in better enabling our agencies to share information on their efforts to combat fentanyl and other investigative tasks. So really looking to the CDO community to be doing the 80% of the work in AI and helping us get focused there. It's been a question I've gotten of why, like, DOD and other agencies have combined the CDO and AI roles.
Yep.
And we took a different approach there, largely because we need our CDO community to stay, particularly at the headquarters level, laser focused on that core work. It's still too nascent of an effort at DHS. We've had one full-time permanent CDO so far. We are finalizing the hiring of our second right now. And really eager for them to have the space that they need to keep us on the right path to data maturity in our operation.
Thank you for tuning in. You can follow HSDF the podcast on any major podcast platform. Visit hsdf.org to learn more about the Homeland Security and Defense Forum.